Hello, my fellow Victorians. It's great to have you here again. I'd just like to make some comments regarding the accusations of bullying by Kashayla Vagela against the staff of Daniel Andrews and also Daniel Andrews himself, and how Daniel Andrews will get away scot-free without needing to bother about any of it. This matter has been taken up by Worksafe Victoria. Apparently it was referred to Worksafe Victoria by members of the State Liberal Party. So is Daniel Andrews worried about any of this? Of course not. Daniel Andrews has his own man running Worksafe Victoria, and so far he's literally got away with manslaughter at the hands of Worksafe Victoria. The manslaughter relates to the deaths of 800 elderly Victorians in aged care homes. Let's look into the details of how the deaths of these 800 people happened. We've all seen news items of how COVID-19 escaped from the quarantine hotels into the western and northern suburbs and then into the aged care homes in early 2020. It was not the fault of the security guards. It was entirely the fault of the Andrews state government. And how do we know this? Brett Sutton's deputy wrote a letter to the security companies managing the quarantine hotels, telling them that workers from Cedar Meats could leave the quarantine hotels if and when they wanted. For everyone else, quarantine was compulsory, and if you left without authorization, you would be arrested by the police, but not for the workers of Cedar Meats. And as you may know, Cedar Meats was one of the first mega clusters of COVID-19 in Victoria. How do we know about all this? You probably won't have heard this if you just watch the ABC or other mainstream media outlets. Please see the video in link 1 below in the description, which explains all the terrible details of the negligent and criminal behaviour of the Andrews government. The relevant part of the video starts at 15 minutes 50 seconds and goes until 18 minutes 15 seconds in video 1 in the description below. Please pause my video and watch this damning media interview. The Code Inquiry did one thing of value, and that was to show that the infections in our aged care homes came from lapses in the quarantine hotel's security. But they weren't really lapses. They were the deliberate policy choices of the Andrews government. Apparently, Daniel Andrews wanted to grant special privileges to his supporter base, and it resulted in the disastrous deaths of elderly people. Strange as it sounds, it was the Victorian Chief Health Officer himself, and in particular his deputy, who willfully and deliberately let the virus escape, first into the western and northern suburbs, and then to the aged care homes. Most likely Daniel Andrews was somehow behind this political decision. The appalling Victoria media allowed Daniel Andrews and Brett Sutton to get away with this. In fact, they now praise Brett Sutton as being some sort of hero, when in fact criminal charges should be brought against him. The director of Worksafe Victoria, that is Daniel Andrews' man, did not want to investigate this catastrophe and wanted to keep it out of sight to protect Daniel Andrews. But Worksafe Victoria was simply forced to investigate. However, at every opportunity, Worksafe tried to find ways to escape their duties and, worst of all, find ways to protect Daniel Andrews. It was a private company that dragged Worksafe Victoria kicking and screaming to do their jobs. There is a series of videos which shows the progress of this disaster and the willful negligence of Worksafe Victoria. Please see the videos at link 2 in the description. Let me summarise these videos. First, it seems Worksafe Victoria tried to let the 2-year statute of limitations on prosecutions run out. When that failed and the Office of Public Prosecution got involved, Worksafe Victoria refused to hand over paperwork so the OPP could investigate. It was a private law firm that went through the data and convinced the OPP that laws had been broken and Worksafe Victoria should investigate. When Worksafe could not escape their responsibilities, they then refused to bring charges against individuals. Instead, they chose to bring charges against state government departments. But it was government ministers who made decisions, who issued instructions, and who were negligent in their work. But now they will all escape prosecution. Instead, departments only will be charged. What this really means is that no individual was at fault. Again, Worksafe Victoria has schemed to find a way to protect the staff and ministers in the Andrews government. These are the extremes that Worksafe Victoria will go to protect Daniel Andrews. So is Daniel Andrews worried about the accusations of bullying in his office? Of course not. Look at him here. He knows that his man at Worksafe will not let any prosecutions or charges come his way. I think it can be seen that by placing his own people in senior positions in the state government, Daniel Andrews has completely corrupted the operations of the Victorian government. Instead of protecting Victorian, the state government departments are now protecting Daniel Andrews. So Daniel Andrews has nothing to worry about. He already got away with manslaughter and possibly murder. Why would he worry about simple charges of bullying? All the best and stay safe wherever you are.